Okay, I'm going to play a bit of music now, just giving you a trigger warning. I'm going to talk about lived experience of some emotionally perhaps triggering ideas, sensitive ideas. But let's start with some tunes. Ooh, Pete, could you put the music on the speaker thingy?
That's a pretty big trunk on my Lincoln Town car, ain't it? Big enough to take these broken hearts and put them in it. Now I'm driving around on the boulevard, trunk bleeding. And every time the cops pull me over, they don't ever see them. They never see them. Now I got this black suit on, roaming around like I'm ready for a funeral. 5 more miles till the road runs out. I'm about to drive in the ocean. I'ma try to swim from something bigger than me. Kick off my shoes, swim good. Take off this suit, swim good, swim good, swim good. Swim good, swim good, swim good. Got some pretty dope beats on this 808 CD, yeah. 3 seats I'm sitting on.
Right, in the interest of time, I'm going to just stop that there. But as you're looking at the screen now, I want you to feedback maybe in the chat or the lovely audience in person. What do you notice? Apart from the fact that it was fire. Is there anyone in the chat wants to drop in? Yeah, anything that stands out.
Like together they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, so Elliot just said that there's emotional investment. I'll just feed back on the mic, whatever anyone says. Anybody else? There's space. It wasn't crowded. Anyone else? Yeah, so a lot of work has gone into it. Lots of hours going into it. So actually, I want to let you know something, a little secret. Yo, Nathan has got the mic drop to Nathan. Pow. Nathan has just revealed newsflash. It is the same person. So if you look at the guy in the hood, the guy with his face in profile, the guy with the hat on singing, they're all the same bloke. So my model around therapeutic uses of hip hop and hip hop therapy is very much around narrative. So in the little description about what I was going to talk about today, it mentioned about how hip hop can be a source of narrative processing. When you look at the story world, what we see in stories is actually a reflection of human life. And in a different world, we can project what we think and feel through the lives of the characters. So when we see somebody else suffering, we feel their pain. When we watch somebody doing well, we're cheering them on. So if you look at the video behind me, imagine these are 4 different characters. So one of the starting points that I use in my workshops with Hip Hop Heals UK is the fact that we're all made up of many sides. And these different sides are there to help, sometimes hinder us. So when you're switching the alarm back onto snooze, another 10 minutes, you might have like your devil and angel side saying, get up, get up, get up. And the other side, ooh, just put the plower in. The other side might be saying, stay in bed, doesn't matter if you're late. But these kinds of decisions happen in our daily lives multiple times. And sometimes they can lead us up the road that we want to be on. And, you know, we're human, things slip us up, experiences slip us up. So the use of this video in my workshop stemmed from a conversation with my nephew. So here's the trigger warning. My nephew was he was sectioned at the time in Australia where he lived, and he was in there because he tried to take his own life. And he did that a couple of times. He broke out and he tried a second time. So I'm Auntie Kiz in England. I get the suicide note on Facebook, and he told me that he loved me. And he's a lad in his 20s, right? So he's 8 years younger than me, close in age to me, more than my own brothers and sisters. Okay, this is weird. He's telling me that I love him. I'm his auntie. What the fuck's going on here? And then I was like, there's something going on, because he said goodbye. And I went over to the phone and I phoned up my brother-in-law and family members. I said, look, something's going on. This message has come up, and can you go and check on him? And the police were alerted, and it turns out that, you know, he had blood on his, I won't go into too much detail, but it wasn't pretty. The worst had happened. He's alive now and well, he's doing well, he's all good. But me and him are both massive hip hop heads. We went out raving together. We loved drum and bass and so on. So I was thinking, okay, when he was sectioned, we were talking about stuff that he'd been through, and his mum had actually passed away in a car accident, and he was sat next to her at the time. So as a 13-year-old boy, this was extremely traumatic. He had a baby sister in the back. She was fine. But the two kids, they went on to live their lives. My sister's unfortunately not here today. So on top of that, he has an alcoholic father, so he had to go to my other sister in Australia instead of going to his biological dad. So at 13, imagine going through all that, then having to go to Australia. So we were talking about how he was coping, and he said, I'm making tunes. I was like, sick. He met a Kiwi guy who's singing vocals, playing the guitar, and he was doing what he does, make beats, write rhythms, write rhymes. And at the time, I was doing an MSc in creative writing for therapeutic purposes, which is like a combination of poetry therapy, music therapy, narrative therapy, and so on. So I was learning all this psychiatry, counseling, social work, public health theory. And in the end, my nephew, a young brown man, was sectioned in a hospital, and I can't do anything about him. And I'm here in the healing world, ready to support, running a hip hop therapy project. And my own nephew sat there telling me that he's making beats. So I was thinking, why is it that you can make tunes about your experiences, and you can chat to a stranger you've never met before on the ward, and then you're making music happen? Why is this not something that we can tap into in the actual therapeutic helping professions? Because let's face it, Black men are widely represented in secure units and face the hugest inequalities intersectionally. So I was thinking about this, and I thought about, okay, I'm going to swap lyrics and poems from like general songs and general poems in my work, and look at reggae bars, drum and bass lyrics, because we're not in America. Hip hop therapy is very American centric. I'm in England. Nobody goes out to hip hop gigs in the weekend. Everyone's at drum and bass raves. So this is what I wanted to look at bringing over here into this country. So if you take a look over, one of the things I did in my workshops was play another tune, and I'll show you. Let's just escape that. Okay, this is a tune by Sigma called Rude Boy. And I was working in probation. I was going to say I was in probation, and I thought afterwards, I better not say I was in probation, because you're all going to think what a naughty girl I am. It was in a rural Worcestershire, like city. You know, there were no ghetto gangs, knife, you know, typical stereotype of black kids on the corner. It wasn't like that. You know, there's a cathedral in the city, ye olde black and white Tudor buildings and stuff like that. And I was thinking, I'm doing hip hop therapy work. How are they going to relate to this? So most people were over 50s, white, couple of younger people, and all different, you know, genders and sexualities and so on. And I just talked about the themes of hip hop, knowing yourself and having different sides. Like in fact, I showed that Faith SFX video, and I said to people, look, we're all made up of multiple sides. So part of the narrative therapy model that I apply is through the hero's journey, where there's lots of different characters in stories, Jungian archetypes. So these characters represent many people that we know, like your wicked auntie, as in not like me wicked, and me like wicked. And so you got the wise sage, so your Gandalf figure, you know, Dumbledore, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and so on, if you're as old as me. And these characters occupy stories, and they occupy hip-hop, because you've got Eminem with his Slim Shady, then you've got Eminem, then you've got Marshall Mathers, and then you've actually got the kid, the actual person behind the rapper. So when you look at that Faith SFX video, you can actually put yourself into different pockets of you. So I was explaining to the people that I was working with, we're like rainbows. We've got 7 colors inside us, but we're all a sunshine beam. I didn't say it like that. But there is this idea. So when I go to my mum's house, I still open the fridge and see what she's got in there for me, because she's, you know, I'm visiting my mum. She still gives me a bag of oranges and sends me away. And I'm like, Mum, there's a greengrocer's. I'm 43. I can buy my own fruit. She still tries to give me curry out the freezer. I'm like, Mum, I can still cook. But we change roles as per context. So I was in my healing modality, I ask people to think about themselves as stepping into different parts of themselves. So when we do take risks, or we're unhelpful to ourselves, when we do dodgy stuff that we know is going to screw us up, like hitting the snooze on the alarm or worse, it's just another side of you. And there's no guilt or shame in having that side. But another day, you might just wake up on time and just bounce out of bed. And I have this complex where a lot of people probably do. The thoughts I have are going round and round like a washing machine, and I can't get them out until I've spoken them or written them down. And I think people do that in bars. So when we've done something we're not happy about, write it down in bars or talk to somebody. Now, if you're not looking like the person in front of you, if you're not white, traditionally counsellors, you know, in this country are white, middle class, lots of women in the profession, that's absolutely fine. But then young black men are getting taken out of that equation of having people reflect them. So where are they being reflected? Where are young people reflected? Hip hop's a youth culture. So instead of occupying these spaces with one nationality, sexuality, gender, and so on, we can bring hip hop to open up all those doors. Like Rap was saying, Dr. Raphael Travis, the context that you're in can determine how hip hop filters. So let's take that to Sigma. So we're thinking about decision making and choices.
I think to this one.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, she said we've got a microphone.
Okay, can we go on to YouTube on here? Sorry about this, everybody. Yeah, would you be able to play the track on there while I'm just repeating, please? Would you be able to go into YouTube or?
Yes, I can try.
Okay, so I'll just give you a little talk through. The track's situated in the ghetto, and there's a bridge. So imagine in the old stories, 3 Billy Goats Gruff, there's a troll at the bridge, and it's in the form of a robber. So the person who is about to go over the bridge gets robbed, and there's a bystander watching the whole scenario, and they decide to get involved and help the person getting robbed. It's Sigma, S-I-G-M-A. I think that's just about, yeah, starting to, and then it's Rude Boy. Oh, it's just starting to review. Sorry about this, guys. Build up a bit of anticipation.
Okay. So if you share the screen, amazing. Thank you. Just share the sound as well.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. We just skip.
I don't think it's going to come through on here, though, on the big speaker.
Oh,
Born as a soldier, born in the streets, born we born as a rude boy, born we born as a rude boy, born.
okay. So when we were talking about the work, about the music video, we had a chance to think about if we were in our best selves, in the side of our best selves, which response would we have taken? Would we have stepped in and helped, or would we have taken a sort of "it's not my business" sort of approach and just walked off? Let's just see if this. I think the Zoom's going from there, so. Okay, I think I'm going to just wrap up now because we're just reaching the 15 minutes point anyway. Sorry about the slight tech problems. Okay, so I'll just read you a little quote from my thesis to finish. Oh, it's still all loading up. Okay. So I want to leave you with the idea that hip hop allows us to occupy multiple spaces and enact sides of our personalities that we might not normally access. So while some people might write loads of violent lyrics, during my dissertation, some people said that they were using hip hop therapeutically. These are MCs that I interviewed. And that they were using them with other young people who were at promise or at risk, whatever you want to term it as. And the young people were telling them, look, I'm writing stuff about stabbing and sentencing because that happened to me, and this is now helping me come to terms with it. But on the flip side, some of the young people said, because I've written bars about it, now I don't want to go and do it in person. So it's taken away the actual urge for me to act it out in reality. So on both levels, it was really helpful. And then the very final thing I wanted to say was we've got a hip hop therapy research seminar program for the next year, which is kicking off on Monday, the 11th of July. And we're going to have guests like Dr. Elliot Gann, who's joined us before. We're going to have Dr. Raphael Travis, who just spoke earlier, and lots of people from around the globe. Also, Nathan, you're going to be joining us as well. So there'll be 2-hour sessions, and they'll be on a Monday night every month for a year to celebrate our 10th year of existence. And we've been a company now for a year, operating our startup processes during the pandemic. So we partnered up with Birmingham Centre for Arts Therapies, and we've been funded to set up an online trauma-informed hip hop academy. So these research seminars are all part of that process. So you can look on Eventbrite and just try trauma-informed hip hop research seminars, and you should be able to find them. Our podcast interviews 24 hip hop therapists or rappers about their experiences of using hip hop therapeutically. So those will all be on our website, Hip Hop Heals UK, and also on YouTube. You can find it under Hip Hop Heals UK, because black men are missing from the research. They're missing from academic conferences, and they're missing from stories about healing when they're mostly represented in the secure units and at the harsh end of the system. So I wanted to go straight to the horse's mouth and talk to people in hip hop culture about what is it about writing bars that helps you. Like the conversation I had with my nephew a few years ago, and that's why all of my work is about leaving people with tools rather than, you know, paying lip service to academia or, you know, getting a company together. It's really because I want to save everybody. So the saviour complex is there. I'll be real and honest with you, but thank you for letting me spread the self-care tools. And yeah, we've got free resources available for people, like the creative booster pack that I put up on the screen. All right, big ups. This is Kiz from Hip Hop Heals. Woo!
Thank you.